It's Mailbag Monday on CHGO Blackhawks, and Kirill Marchenko is on your mind, ours too, and we'll react to everything we heard from Patrick Kane over the last few days. That's next on CHGO Blackhawks. Happy Monday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi and Chloe Thiel running the show. First and foremost, I hope wherever you are in Chicagoland, you are safe. You have power. Your house is okay. Your basement's not full of water. Remember when we used to have weather events like this like once every 2 years? And now it feels like once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Several times a month.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You know, weather's crazy.
All right.
You know, it's kind of weird. Call your friends at Four Seasons if you need any house things done.
I'm sure the people at Four Seasons are just like, well, we've not slept in months, but we're here for emergencies. That's what we do.
It's good for business.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Boy, I know. I'm not sure. I live in Homewood, and we're fairly certain a tornado may have come through based on some of the trees, and it's not good.
At least some
good.
crazy wind. Yeah, I had a whole ordeal today driving in. I was telling Jay, I've never seen my ETA on my GPS change by 1 hour during my drive.
Oops.
Coming from Grays Lake to Chicago in a severe storm that produced hail and tornado activities around southeast Wisconsin and northeast Illinois. The storm moving north to south basically moved with me on the highway.
Just kind of followed you around?
I was like perpetually driving in a downpour. So that was a challenge today, but you know what? It's fine. I made it. And yeah, hopefully everyone's safe and dry as much as possible.
My shoes are soaked, and they will be for the remainder of the day. But that's okay.
My shoes also are still wet.
That's
I almost
all
got
that
struck by
happens-
lightning.
Oh,
Yeah.
almost.
Almost.
There's still time.
Close enough. Yeah.
66. Seen the Great Outdoors?
Yes.
You ever seen Great Outdoors, Chloe?
In the head.
It's a classic. Still holds up, too.
It's so good.
All right. We are going to get to your mailbag questions.
chase me.
But first, we have had several Patrick Kane interviews done. We were there on Friday at the Blackhawks Ice Center, and then he was on with Blackhawks Breakaway with Pat Boyle. He was on Pardon My Take this morning. So I guess we'll just go chronologically here. Friday, I think everyone's seen it. If you've not seen the whole thing, it is posted on our YouTube. It's doing very well. It seems like most of Chicago has seen it, which is great. My favorite part was him talking about how he's been skating with Frank Nazar at Blackhawks Ice Center, and basically says here, and I had in the back of my mind for a while, like maybe, just maybe, we'll be teammates.
Get used to it.
Here's Patrick Kane.
I've been skating with, Frankie a lot and trying to develop some chemistry with him, even though I've been signed for about 1 day. It's kind of been in the back of my mind, like maybe I'll be playing with this guy. So maybe we try to develop some chemistry. But he's another great player too. Very impressed with him, his work ethic, his speed, his skill. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of those guys that kind of stick out to me, and it'd be great to have the opportunity to play with a lot of them.
He said today, too, on Pardon My Take, that sometimes him and Nazar just work out just the two of them. It just kind of falls that way where they're both on the ice at Blackhawks Ice Center.
Color me shocked. That
And he was asked
those
today,
two get along.
like, you've been thinking about playing with Bedard? He's like, of course I have, but like Toews and I played apart from each other a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe it could be, Bedard and Kantarov, and then Nazar and Kane, and then you put the two of them on the power play together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we went through kind of our lineups last week. There's a lot of different options that adding a player like Patrick Kane can do for the lineup, especially with Bedard out to start. You can kind of mix and match and see how things how guys play off of each other, how things mesh. Like it's going to be fascinating to see how Jeff Blashill enters and exits training camp and the preseason with how he kind of configures those top 6 lines really, and throw in what you would call the third line as well into that mix too. Like it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out, because you could put Kane with Rondell, you could put him with Bedard once he's healthy, you can put it with Nazar, you could, they're very keen on Bedard, Rondell, and Nazar all playing center, but maybe one of them moves to the wing. Like it's going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. But adding Kane to the mix like makes it feel like you're not having to play somebody up the lineup that maybe they don't need to at this stage of their career. Like maybe you're not putting Lardis in the top 6 just yet, because you have a guy in Patrick Kane now who you can do that and feel very comfortable and confident in him being able to mesh really well. So, and yeah, like, I mean, Frank Nazar and Patrick Kane hitting it off, like, of course. Like those guys, have those personalities that I think mesh really well. So that'll be fun to see play out in the locker room.
The other thing I like too is he mentioned this kind of everywhere, but he wants to be thought of as just like kind of another guy in the team, wants to be treated the same. Do we have that one, Chloe, from Patrick from Friday?
I hope that's not the case where it's like I'm coming in and they're looking at me differently than they would any of their other teammates, I know there's probably going to be certain circumstances where that happens, but I kind of want to be just like, I'm not saying I want to be like another guy on the team. I want to be a big leader and help the team take the next steps, but I want them to view me as their teammate.
That I think will be very challenging.
Like, well, I mean, at least at the start.
These guys grew up watching him play, idolizing him. Some of them, Vlasic played with him, Soderblom played with him. That's it, really, as far as teammates. Did I say Vlasic? Yeah, Vlasic, Soderblom.
Yeah,
that's it. But a lot of these guys grew up watching Patrick Kane and idolizing Patrick Kane. I wonder how, and I think he doesn't really know the answer to this either, is what can he do to be on that level of his teammates? Because he said today on Part of My Take, like, if I turn the puck over, I want like somebody yell at me and tell me that's unacceptable.
Right.
There's no way that's Oliver Morgan be like, hey, clean it up, 88. Let's go. Like, there's
get your head out of
that can't happen.
Yeah.
Like it can't happen, and it won't happen. But I like that he is at least going into the room aware of that, aware of the presence that he has, aware, having the awareness of a lot of these kids grew up idolizing me, so I need to make it feel like I'm one of them while also being a leader. That's going to be a big challenge. Thank you, Sherm. 6 points out. Teravainen too was also obviously a teammate of Kane.
And we know, Teuvo, he can be pretty fiery.
Shut up, Teuvo. My God, we've heard this story 1,000 times.
I mean, that was the thing with keeping Kane around back then, and knowing the direction the organization was going. Just with the young players, like, how do you not have it be like hockey royalty, and these inexperienced guys just kind of coming in and not just kowtowing to, it's Patrick Kane, so whatever he says goes kind of thing. Like, I feel like you're right that there's still probably a little bit of that's going to be going on, but at least some of these players have been in the league for at least a year, 2 years, for some of them 3, so they can feel a little bit more comfortable as an NHL player and see Patrick Kane a little bit as a peer, rather than, I watched this guy when I was 10 and now I'm playing with him, and I'm just going to be in awe for all 84 games.
It'll wear off eventually. But
eventually they'll
when I met Luke Stuckmeyer, I was like, oh my God. That's
Me
Luke
too.
Stuckmeyer. Yeah, and after 3 years, I really got used to it. Like, it just became normal.
Yeah.
Normal part of my day.
Yeah.
But it will definitely be an adjustment to start. And we quote this all the time. Famously, Alex Vlasic came on our show and said being around Toews and Kane was sort of like walking on eggshells. And I think he probably used the wrong analogy.
Not that it was like
you're going to set them off
in fear of their wrath or whatever, but more or less like you just don't want to have a bad impression.
Yeah. So that'll be fun to watch. The other things that stood out to me, said it first on Blackhawks Breakaway with Pat Boyle. By the way, did you watch that?
I saw a little bit, yeah.
Where they're in the red room.
It's very red.
I actually texted Charlie about this. Like, where is this? It is literally a room with just solid red walls. It was the most off-putting and uncomfortable looking thing I've ever seen.
Very French, like, so inspired.
Yeah. Anyway, that was weird. But Kane said that he had a conversation with Jeff Blashill over the phone that was really big in influencing his decision to come to Chicago. And he sort of expanded on that today on Pardon My Take and said Blashill was actually very impressive. He broke down the roster and like kind of told me where he sees guys popping off, like who he thinks is ready to take that next step. We know Blashill sort of said like came into the job last year. His job was sort of like learn guys on the fly, see who had what.
Yeah.
And then use that last year for that, analysis and development. And Davidson sort of said too at the end of last year, like we've seen all these guys now. We have a better idea of what we have and what we need, and we can kind of move forward from there. So this summer you saw him add a guy he thinks is a number one defenseman, a top 6 forward, 2 veteran forwards in Greenway and Cole Smith, another veteran defenseman in Ian Cole. So evaluated roster, saw needs, filled needs. So I think Blashill is kind of always doing that roster Tetris. It feels like in his head of like who can play with who do I see as like, okay, I know that, we've got 8 prospects on a team or whatever. I'm going to check these 3 for sure are going to pop off. These other 3 maybe, and these 2 maybe they need a little more time, right? And they're sorting the roster that way. I'm really interested to see how training camp's going to go. But I like that was Blashill's approach with Kane. Was here's how I see you fitting what we're doing, and I could see you with this guy. This guy's going to be great. We have like, for instance, like Frondell. We're moving him. He's going to start at center. We're going to see how he's going to do. Like just going guy by guy instead of saying like, man, it'd just be great to have you here and all you've accomplished, and just fluffing him for lack of a better term. Like you're telling him specifically. And Patrick Kane, we know, is a hockey guy. Follows the league, follows the stats, follows the rosters. Like Blashill sounds like approached his conversation with Kane before he signed here of like, this is how I see you fitting here.
Well, it's a lot like anybody that's gone through like a recruiting process. Like you can talk to some people and they might just be trying to, like you said, like kind of just blow smoke and just really talk you up, and it's probably a conversation that they've had with other people of just being like it's just kind of like their pitch. But having a guy like Blashill like kind of understand, look, like I think this is where having a guy like Jeff Blashill as a head coach really like makes a difference. And I know like we were all very much about David Carl being the head coach a few, what was it, 2 summers ago? Last summer? Whatever. Time
that was last summer.
That was last summer. We were all very on board with him being the coach, the guy at Denver. And I think if he was in the position that Blashill's in and was asked to like, hey, can you pitch Patrick Kane? It probably goes differently because Blashill's been in the NHL. He's got some, some cachet around the league, and he's been in those. I mean, he's coached Zetterberg and Larkin and Datsuk and all those guys, and the being in Tampa and everything like that. Like he's been with those top tier players, and he's been.
Didn't he coach Kane at a World Championship?
Yes, I think 2018 might have been.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a rapport
Familiarity,
already.
yeah.
Like that makes a difference to have a guy like that. So and I think because he's got that experience, he probably went into that conversation and not just like, oh, let me wine and dine Patrick Kane. Like, no, he's going to talk shop, and it's going to make a bigger impact than just trying to like pitch like, here's why you want to be a Blackhawk. Like, I think it played obviously it did play a factor, but it's beneficial to have a guy like that in that role rather than someone who's a first year coach or someone who might not have the same kind of respect in Patrick Kane's eyes as Blashill might have.
Well, it seems like, and no matter what you feel about the Hawks rebuild, the Hawks front office, whatever, that at least in Patrick Kane's eyes, he was very impressed by the trio of Wirtz, Davidson, and Blashill. Danny Wirtz picks up the phone 3 minutes after free agency begins. Patrick Kane said 11:03 on July 1st and gives him this impassioned, if you come back, it would be like nothing the city has ever seen before. And he said that hit him really hard, and he got really emotional about that idea. He said Kyle Davidson's been awesome through the whole process. So the GM being attentive and there and persistent without being annoying, without being pushy, without being demanding, and again, what we just talked about with Blashill. So it sounds like 3 for 3. The Hawks front office really stepped up and did what they needed to do to get this done on his own terms, right? Which I think Patrick Kane has certainly earned.
Oh, absolutely. The Wirtz call is interesting to me. Not that I would be surprised that Danny Wirtz would do something like that, but just that was the first touch point for Kane on free agency. It was Danny making that call. If we're going by Kane's timeline, before Kyle did.
Well, and didn't Pat Brisson said too that the Hawks were aggressive right away. Put a call into Brisson, and I'm assuming that's all. I'm not assuming that's all done through the agent in terms of offers and interest and stuff.
Sure, of course.
We know nothing happens before 11 a.m. on July 1st.
No, never.
No conversations at all.
It's free agent frenzy.
But the fact that Danny waited till everyone's clock is at least turned at 11, so I don't get in trouble. Boom, pick up the phone, impassioned plea, hey, man, come back. And there's so many times that Patrick has said over the last few days, I didn't think this was a possibility before. And all of a sudden, because of change of circumstance in Detroit and where the Hawks are now versus where they were a year ago, 2 years ago, now it makes all the sense in the world, and now it's done. It's kind of crazy. What a whirlwind.
It definitely has been. It's changed the perception of the rest of the summer around the Hawks from the outside perspective. I think a little bit, but definitely from within Blackhawks fandom, it's completely flipped on its head. There's a lot more positivity than there has been, at least in the last few weeks, months, if not a few years, going into this training camp and this upcoming season.
I was at a family party and everybody was talking to me about it. Everybody, people are really excited about it. One more note: Kane said that his dad wanted him to come to Chicago, and we know that was a big part of his dad's travel, his ability to get to games.
Influence, yeah.
So now Patrick's got a place still in town, so his dad can crash there as long as he wants. But Patrick kind of joked at saying that my dad can walk into any restaurant, he knows all the security guards, people know him around here, so that's very easy for him.
Familiarity, yeah.
Yeah. There's one more thing that got your attention and mine that we're going to get to next, and it was brought up by Kyle Davidson on Friday as well. Jonathan Toews returning? ? We'll talk about it next on CHGO Blackhawks. What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi, and what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That is the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine you have Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together. And if there's a problem, it fixes it before you even know. It's having super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense, and that means you are streaming the game uninterrupted even when the whole family is online. All your devices working in perfect harmony together for 5 whole years. And the best part, no annual contracts, no hidden fees, and you'll get Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from us, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. So lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that, available on select plans only, and restrictions do apply.
Summer heat is here, and your AC is working harder than ever. Don't wait for it to break down. Call Four Seasons today and schedule a complete AC tune-up for just $89.95. Their expert technicians are available 24/7 for emergency services with no additional charges for nights, weekends, or holidays, which is when things break. And whether your air conditioner stops working, you have a clogged drain, or you need an extra electrical outlet installed, Four Seasons has you covered. And if your AC does break down after you get your tune-up from Four Seasons, they'll fix it again at no additional cost. Plus, Four Seasons will beat any competitor's offers for services by $1,000 guaranteed. Your trusted local experts for heating, air conditioning, plumbing, sewer, and electric are Four Seasons. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all of their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all the right reasons.
All right, we're back on CHGO Blackhawks. Thanks for being with us. Hit that like button for us if you've not done it yet. Why don't we play Kyle Davidson talking about this first? He was asked about a potential one-day contract for Jonathan Toews to retire as a Blackhawk. Here's what he said.
I think those things are always things you certainly consider, and I think it's something we would love to have Jonathan back and bring him back. And we did it with Marian Hossa, and so I think it's nothing's set in stone or anything, but I think it's a likely path that we'll go down. It's a guy we just want to recognize and make sure that he's honored like he was. The fans got to send him off in a special way with his last game there when Winnipeg visited, but certainly having him back, and I think having him back with 88 back in a Blackhawks sweater would be a pretty exciting thing too, to have them both back in the building as Blackhawks. So I don't know of any concrete plans. I'm sure we'll have news or something to announce when there's an announcement to be made. But again, much like I've said in the past with Patrick, he's a Blackhawk for life. Everything he's contributed to this city, the love and respect he has from the organization and the fans, it's just unparalleled for these guys that were part of those 3 Stanley Cups. So we look forward to welcoming him back for sure.
All right, so after the Hawks press conference, the Hawks PR team wanted to clarify that there's not been any sort of offer like that to Jonathan Toews yet. If you've been following him on social media, I think he's in Greece currently. He just put a picture of himself out drinking a cocktail with the Parthenon behind him.
Enjoying retirement.
Yes, he's very, very aggressively retired, and good for him. But I think that gesture will be made, and it is up to Jonathan whether or not to accept. He will probably do the one-day contract thing. I think the dreams of him coming back and playing a preseason game like Marc-Andre Fleury did, or even signing a one-year contract are, first of all, the one preseason game thing is like the least Jonathan Toews thing I've ever heard in my life. There's nothing in his personality that sounds like he would do that.
To suit up one more time with him and Kane?
No. I don't think he would do that. It just does not feel like his personality at all. Maybe I'm wrong. You've got 4 preseason games this year, and you've got some roster battles. You
could play Toews for a period.
Okay.
Give him one more.
If he does that, I'll shave
option.
again. That's it.
Where?
This time I'll shave my legs.
Yeah, I think it's it's a slam dunk decision to do the actually retire as a Blackhawk, not as a Winnipeg Jet. Could he play another year? Probably. But I don't think he wants to. I think he probably went through what he went through last year to say that he did it and prove it to himself. Like we've kind of talked about with his comeback, is that it probably wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm going one more cup run kind of thing, which maybe I think he expected to have a chance in Winnipeg to do.
It's a smart assumption. They won a President's Trophy the year before.
Yeah. But for how it played out, I'm sure he's probably like, you know what, I don't want to put my body through that again if he doesn't feel like it's going to end with something, really special at the end. And I think just the nostalgia tour of coming back and playing with Patrick Kane back in Chicago for another year. He doesn't need to do it. I'd be here for it, but he doesn't need to do it.
The whole reason that Patrick Kane made sense is because he is still an incredibly effective hockey player. 0.86 points per game as a Red Wing. Will help the power play. Jonathan Toews is my favorite Hawk of all time. That's my dude. I friggin' love Jonathan Toews. Bringing him back right now is nothing but nostalgia. And at this point, it's time to move this thing forward. So if you're bringing Jonathan Toews in, that means that Nick Lardis is going to Rockford, or Oliver Moore is going to Rockford, or whatever it might be. It just, I'm sorry. Like, would it be a fun story? Yes. Does it accomplish much for them hockey-wise? No. And I just don't feel like, I don't know, like the possibility to play with Patrick Kane has existed for Jonathan Toews for a while, right? Like, if Kane went back in Detroit, would he have done that? Like, I don't know. I just,
his body shut down at the end of that 23 season in like January, late January, early February, and it right before the trade deadline. So Toews was shut down, and because we were like, are they going to trade him at 2? And then it was like he's out indefinitely with his health stuff.
right.
Then they trade Kane. He comes back and he finishes the year, and then takes 2 years off. So not really the option was there. His body just wasn't able to do it. Now, could he have?
Could have done last year.
He could have.
Yeah.
But but he's doing the thing that he wanted to do, which was play for his hometown team, and I don't fault him for that. I don't think he's going to come back and play for more than a day as a Blackhawk, if at all. But I mean, it's the easiest thing that they could put together is Jonathan Toews returns, whatever November date that was when Winnipeg's in town. There's like a Saturday afternoon game against the Jets. Jonathan Toews returns, 1-day contract, jersey retirement. The 2 teams he played for are there. Maybe Bedard's in the lineup by that time, mid-November, whatever it was. That would be an awesome environment. It's the easiest thing that the Hawks
that
could
banner should
schedule.
be being stitched as we speak.
It should have.
It should be in a closet
There should
somewhere.
be a 19 banner, an 88 banner, and a 2 banner that are just pre-stitched
Made.
already,
Yes, they're
and
there.
they're just waiting to be.
And one of those bags you
raised.
hook the vacuum up to.
Yeah.
To save closet space.
Yeah, you vacuum seal.
Look, 1-day contract. If he wants to play a preseason game, fine. That would shock me. But there are really no hockey reasons to bring Jonathan Toews back.
4th line center, face-offs, penalty kill.
But who are we taking out?
Name your 4th liner. Greenway, Donato, Smith, Teravainen,
I don't know.
Mangiapane, Slaggert.
Those guys aren't playing. Mangiapane and Slaggert aren't playing.
Okay.
If the team's healthy, probably the guy sitting will be Greenway when Bedard is back and everybody's healthy. Greenway will probably be the healthy scratch.
Could be, yeah.
So you can say you want to take Toews out right now, but Toews had a better year than Toews did. And he was hurt.
Sure.
Like, I know it's fun, but come on. Let's not.
If the door's not shut, I'm not going to be the one to slam it shut.
Ryan Donato had a better year than Jonathan Toews last year.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Toews is Jonathan Toews.
Yes, he is. Jeremy Roenick is Jeremy Roenick. Chris Chelios
Bring
is
him
Chris
back.
Chelios.
Yeah, bring them
Eddie
all back.
Belfour's Eddie Belfour.
Let's do the whole 84-0 lineup of the Blackhawks. Spin the wheel and bring them back. Bring them back.
Patrick Kane makes sense. 100%. Nothing beyond that in terms of bringing back, because I saw someone say like Brandon Saad, because that weird Steve Conroy Facebook account put a picture, which I'm certain is definitely Steve Conroy. Because if I know anything about Steve Conroy, it is Facebook aficionado.
Sure.
Put up a picture of Saad. Everyone's like, Saad coming back too? No. To do what?
Brandon Saad's got some hockey left in him.
Stop yourself.
He does.
No.
I'm objectively saying Brandon Saad
Stop
can
it.
still play in the NHL. Is that a wild thing? I'm not saying bring him back too. I'm just saying it's not wild to say Brandon Saad could get a job in the NHL.
He's a 4th line NHLer. Yes. He would have been perfect for the Hawks 2 years ago. 9 points in 49 games.
Well, with Vegas, right?
Oh, yeah, they suck.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that's a hard lineup to crack because it's Vegas and they just went to the Cup final.
Oh, my God.
You know, you get Mitch Marner and then you got to take Brandon Saad
I think
out
you're
of the
kidding.
lineup.
I think you're kidding. I'm not 100% sure.
Brandon Saad could find a home in the NHL.
Well, do you have the quote, by the way, that just so, because I heard the PMT interview, you read the quotes. Do you have the thing Kane said about Toews coming back?
Yes. In that interview, they talked about Patrick Kane, or they talked about Jonathan Toews and how Toews was like saying, you know, I'm jealous of Kane being able to come back and play and all that stuff. And Kane said, hey, I'm talking to him, asking him maybe he's going to come back for a year. And Toews said to Kane, reportedly, that he's thinking about it. Yeah.
So for what it's worth, the audio of it sounded way more like tongue-in-cheek jokey. Like, he's
sure.
joking about coming back like that.
I'm sure.
That's how it sounded to me. But we need to no. Nope.
Listen, you open the floodgates of nostalgia, and the waters are gonna rush through.
I guess so.
You know what I saw? You know how Marian Hossa had his last game over in Slovakia?
Yeah.
They're doing one for Zdeno Chara.
Keith is playing in
And
that.
Duncan Keith is playing in that. So if Duncan Keith can play in a charity game, why not bring him back? Play him with
another left defenseman.
With Lev Shinov. Yeah, who cares?
The Hawks only have 9 of those.
Put all 6 left shot defensemen on the ice at the same time.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Actually, you know what? If I gave Duncan Keith 4 months to prepare, he could play. I bet you he could play like
Duncan Keith,
13 minutes of effective bottom pair defense.
Duncan Keith could get through an NHL season if he wanted to. He just doesn't want to.
Yeah, he's had it.
He's
opponents have had enough.
He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's in the Blackhawks Hall of Fame. There's nothing else for him to do. He's in all the Hall of Fames he needs to be in.
Thomas Matula says, bring Pat Foley back too. Actually, I'm down with that. That'll never happen. All right.
Yeah.
Break zone. Then we're going to get to your mailbag questions.
He does all the he MCs everything.
He's the MCs.
He'll MC the Toews retirement.
He'll sign your baby.
He'll MC the Kane retirement when it happens. All that stuff.
All right. Back in 2. Hit that like button for us. Our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary are here to elevate your baseball season. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free shopping with a huge selection of over 100 different strains to choose from at any given time, easy online ordering, and in-store pickup wherever you are in Illinois. Sunnyside has a location for you. So if you are between South Beloit and Champaign, you've got a Sunnyside by you. Check out High Supply Slips. They are oral THC pouches made for all the moments where smoking isn't an option. They're perfect for social settings when you're on the go. Long-lasting, bold citrus or wintergreen flavor for lasts up to an hour, and it hits in 5 to 15 minutes. That sounds good. Head to their website for only the best under the sun, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases with our code HICHGO. Sunnyside Dispensary, only the best under the sun, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders. That code again, HICHGO.
Ding, 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 ding. You hear that?
Nope.
That is freedom ringing.
Oh.
It's time to save at Ray Chevrolet during the Freedom to Save sales event. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary with $250 lease payments on new Chevrolet models with only $1,776 due at signing. You see? Or you can check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. One of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. You're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you'll get a great deal. And Ray's Price Promise lets you shop confidently because what you see is what you pay. Go see for yourself. Visit our partner at their convenient location on Route 12 in Fox Lake, and don't let these savings pass you by. Shop the Freedom to Save sales event all month long for $250 lease payments on new Chevrolet models with only $1,776 due at signing. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for hitting that like button for us. It is time for the mailbag. To access our mailbag, you become a diehard, and then you join our Discord page and send us questions in the mailbag channel. It's that simple. AllCHGO.com/join is how you become a diehard, and you get a free CHGO shirt like this one, but it's not all faded. This is from, by the way, the first generation of CHGO shirts, we have since upgraded our what do you call it? Like our shirt producers, so the logos don't fade anymore.
Yes.
Like I have this same shirt.
I mean,
in
that's
the new
also
model.
a 4-year-old shirt.
Yeah, but
it goes through
it
some
shouldn't
wear and
fade
tear
that quickly.
Sure, yeah.
You have a shirt.
You just wore it to death.
You ever seen my lumpy pickle shirt that I wear sometimes?
I sure haven't.
It's a bar in Joliet that I went to in college.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to college in 2000, 2001. So it's a 25-year-old shirt.
Yeah.
Picture right here looks good. It is as old as Chloe.
I mean, look, if you're
I have clothes as old as you.
if there's one thing I know about the lumpy pickle in Joliet is that they don't skimp on quality. You are going to get the highest quality at the lumpy pickle.
Well, they're closed because there was a gruesome murder across the street. But what I loved about the lumpy pickle,
so much for that.
and if we have Joliet people in the chat, give us your lumpy pickle memories. They had like a machine that would just deep fry anything.
Lumpy pickle.
It was like a
memories
Willy
of Sullivan,
Wonka, like a contraption. So we just bring stuff and just dump it in the deep fryer, and they would fry it for us. And we
It's like the Wisconsin State
Oreos,
Fair.
Would it work? Will it fry? And you'd be surprised. The answer is yes to most things.
Most things you can fry.
Yeah.
You can put a stick in some butter and put it in the
Yes.
fryer, and you will have fried butter, and it's a delicious treat
Exactly.
and nutritious.
Yeah, lumpy pickle. R.I.P. to our favorite dive bar in Joliet. All right, mailbag. Let's do it. And El Mago Javi 9 says, mailbag. Is it possible to get Marchenko without getting rid of Nazar? Not sure if more or largest interest Columbus, or would they want Bertuzzi also? Feels like they're in an awkward spot after the Werenski situation happened. They might be more willing for futures prospects than originally thought. So, if you've not heard this, there was a rumor this weekend by Russian hockey reporter Daria Tuboltseva. Thank you. You may remember Daria as the first person that had the Roman Kanserov deal signing.
That he was officially coming over. Yeah.
I know her. She has been at Hawks games before as credentialed media. She is a Russian hockey reporter. She knows her stuff. She is connected. Brian Hedger, our old friend, and Aaron Portzline have, I would go as far, somewhere between downplayed or completely poo-pooed the fact that Kirill Marchenko is on the block. Daria said there is two teams, and it seems like one of them is Montreal. So that's where the Kirill Marchenko talk is coming from. There is no connection that I've seen, that you've seen, that
real.
says the Blackhawks are pursuing Kirill Marchenko.
Right.
But for the sake of conversation and for the sake of the mailbag, the question was from El Javi Mago 9 or whatever it was, can you get him without Nazar? And to me, that answer is no.
No, I think if you're Columbus and you're moving a guy that's arguably in not only in your top six but on your top line and is going to give you 30 plus goals, like you're not giving him up without immediate impact. And the Blackhawks don't really have anybody that is a 1-for-1, obviously, for Kirill Marchenko. So you're getting somebody who you think will fit that void in the lineup, if not by the end of this year, but over the course of the time that you thought you would have Marchenko. I would imagine Nazar would be in that conversation. I'd even imagine Frondell would be in that conversation, and I'm not moving either of those guys. Like adding Marchenko in a vacuum, absolutely. Like that.
I mean, they should
that
be
makes
asking.
the team.
They
that
should
makes
be
the
asking
team better
for the record.
Yeah, and it's
Pick
a
up the
guy
phone.
like it fits the timeline, all that stuff. I just don't know if the package that it would take to get him, plus with the extension and everything, like I just don't know if that's going to be. It just doesn't feel like what Davidson would do in a trade to give up those young guys and those immediate impact young guys. Even though Marchenko is 25, 26. Like, I don't know. I feel like
just 20. He turned 26 6 days ago.
I feel like if they got a little shy of doing the trade for Nyes that involved Levshinov or Frondell, I don't think they're going to go for Marchenko with the same, if not a higher asking price.
I would think it would be a higher asking price than Nyes. Now, I will say Toronto asking for Lev Schnauber-Frondel for Nyes is probably why Matthew Nyes is still a Leaf. Because if they're asking for all that, I love Matthew Nyes. Don't get me wrong. But I'd hang up the phone on that,
and
too.
we know so does Kyle Davidson.
Right.
He's tried to get him twice.
But I would be... Look, I like a lot of what the Hawks have at forward. We don't have to list them, but Nazar on down. The reason I would consider it is because what Marchenko gives you is size. He is 6'3", 201.
Yeah, he's big.
He is a big forward, which is something you don't have. And I think they've done a decent job of getting bigger defensemen and bigger in the bottom six with Greenway and with Cole Smith. And you could even add Ian Cole to that list, who has been described as built like a linebacker.
He's big.
So you've got some size and grit that way. But in terms of like top six, 20 minutes a game on your top power play units, Mr. Do Everything, that's Kirill Marchenko. And he's never had a chance to play with a guy like Bedard. He's never had now he's played with Zach Werenski. You know what I mean? And he's played with Adam Fantilli, who's not quite the same level as Bedard, right?
Right.
But you would wonder what a guy like him would do with Connor Bedard. To me, now it would depend on what it would be, but for me, Frank Nazar would not be off the table if Kirill Marchenko was a return. Because I feel like Nazar could get to Marchenko numbers.
Probably, yeah. Go ahead.
Marchenko's career high is 74 points, 31 goals, 43 assists. Could Frank Nazar have a career year of 74 points?
I mean, if he's the
the
number 3 center, I don't know.
Yeah, right. But that's probably like maxing out that outlier year.
Right.
That every forward has that year where it's like, oh my God.
Patrick Sharp led the Hawks in scoring one year.
Right. Like everyone has that.
Yeah.
But Marchenko before that is a rookie, 25 points in 59 games, 42 points in 78, then 74 and 79. Then last year, 67 points in 76 games. But 21 goals, 23 goals, 31 goals, 27 goals.
Yeah. So
you're counting on scoring. I would be willing to move Nazar for Marchenko depending on what else it would take.
I feel like that's going to be the sticking point because I don't think it would be just Nazar.
Would you do Nazar in next year's first round for him?
Which one? The Hawks? First round pick?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I also think you have to be the reason that I would, if I'm Kyle Davidson, I'm like, is you're not 100% sure Frondel's a center.
And you have to let that play out.
And you know Nazar can do it. And you know he can do it well.
Definitely.
So
yeah, if Frondel's not a center,
then you're really thin at center.
Then you're thinner.
Yeah.
Then your 1, 2, 3 is probably Bedard, Nazar, Moore.
Or Green.
I think they really want
Oliver.
I think they want Oliver Moore to really pan out at center.
Me too.
But I think if you're going Bedard, Frondel, Nazar, he's not going to get the opportunity right away. But we'll see. But no, I feel like if Frondel or Bedard move out of center, because that could be a possibility too with the injuries and stuff affecting center duties. Then having Nazar is a good option as a guy that if you got to put him up at the second line center, you don't hate that because he probably could be second line center this year and not have any problem with it. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it would take obviously Nazar plus, and I think Columbus would want immediate impact players because they're trying to continue to make Zach Werenski happy so he doesn't request another trade.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, they got to figure out Fantilli still with his contract.
I just don't get what it does for Columbus to do that.
I don't think Columbus is, if they trading Marchenko, like, sure, he's not signed, but like, right?
He's got a year left.
A year left. Okay. So he's not extended. Like
RFA after next year.
I feel like if you're Columbus, you're trying to be competitive because that team, and no offense to Columbus, I say this with all due respect, it's an irrelevant NHL franchise.
Yes.
Like they've never had success. All the star players leave. And I don't know, like I feel like if you're Columbus, you're trying to have as competitive a team as possible. and not go through a rebuild and not have to lose talent. Like, I don't think it's the same as with Toronto and Nyes of like, why would you trade this guy? But I'm just like, I feel like with Marchenko, like I would try and make it work out first and foremost. But if it seems like that's not going to happen, then yeah, you have to maximize your return. But I feel like if I were Columbus, I would be saying like, I need players now. I don't need, I don't need picks. I don't need top end prospect. I need guys that are going to be in the lineup and be exciting and be impactful. So if it is Nazar, they might also be like, we also want Frondell. For a guy, well, right, yeah. but for a guy who's going to put up 70 plus, 80 plus points as a power forward, like that, that's a premium cost.
I don't think that's out of the question for Frondell
to
put up those kind of numbers.
Oh no, I don't think that's out of the question either.
So yeah, I mean,
you might say we have Kirill Marchenko at home.
Yeah, well,
just Anton Frondell has to ripen. Who knows?
If Columbus wants to, like, Columbus has been the same team, like give or take, for their entire existence. And you call them irrelevant, and it's true. However, players that play there love it, they say, but then can't wait to leave.
Right.
Like, it's weird. And I don't know if, like, the fact that players want to leave is the fact that they just don't, like, take that step. Like, they become serious.
They don't.
And the Johnny Gaudreau thing is such a, like, obviously horrible for many, many reasons beyond hockey. But, like, that was their massive win, they got Johnny Gaudreau to come and play for them. Mm-hmm. And then some dumbass runs them off the road. And, like, it's just...
Yeah.
Like, they finally had landed that guy. Yeah. And it felt like they were due for a change and a jump. And then... And who... Like, I also think we can't factor... Like, that's an organization that's been marred by tragedy the whole time. You had the Gaudreau thing, and then the Espen Knutson shoots a puck into the crowd, and the little girl dies. Like, there's been all sorts of, like, crazy stuff with Columbus, and, like, Knutson was a good player, and that ended his career. Like, he just mentally could not bounce back from that. They've been through a lot as an organization, and, man, like, losing Marchenko, maybe losing Werenski, the fact that Fantilli is not signed yet, it's like, man,
they also
figure it out.
Remember the goaltender, Kiv
the fireworks
accident saved Kiwi Merzlinkins by the firework. Yeah, blew him. He died in a firework accident. Like, it's just terrible. I mean, it's been not easy for Columbus, trying to be a destination for guys. And, even Rick Nash, like, eventually left. Like, I come back to the Marchenko conversation. I just feel like if they're talking with Kyle Davidson, I just feel like they would be like, we need roster players. Like, this would be like, quote unquote hockey trade of like, you're getting this roster player, we need roster players, plural. And I feel like if I was Columbus, I'd be looking at the young guys who are going to play in the NHL this year for the Blackhawks and be like, we want these guys in this particular order, Frondell, Nazar, whatever.
Well, I'd assume if the Hawks are not involved, that's why. Is because what they're going to want back is probably more than they're willing to trade.
Something Kyle Davidson doesn't want to let go.
Yeah. And I mean, then you're also looking at $15 million for Bedard, $12.5 million for Byram. Whatever you're gonna, if you trade that package at Kirill Marchenko, his new deal is going to be probably more than Byram,
double digits. Yeah.
So now you're talking about a ton of money invested in three guys. That's not a huge formula for success. And what you've got with Nazar is that security of that deal signed,
cost controlled,
like under $7 million. Like, that's got to be weighed into it too, is what can you do around it. And Davidson has said all along he wants to build a team that's deep, not super top heavy, and if these guys pan out, they will be.
Right.
All right, next mailbag question. This one is from, I can't read that, from Preview Mode.
Jake.
It's from Jake. He says, I really like the offseason so far. Kentucky Fried Chicken did what we all wanted him to do. Sign Bedard to an extension, bring in a top six forward, add a top four D-man, and add some grit to the bottom six. I can't help but feel that the vibes are off, though. You got the best D-man available, but it costs a lot. Bottom six moves were fine, but unknown to the casual fan. and you brought back Kane, but he's soon to be 38 years old, and you can't really rely on rely on him to play the full season. At this point in the offseason, what's your grade? What's a realistic move remaining, if any, that you could bump or trade or move your grade up?
I think.
Yeah.
Did we do a grades?
I think we did it before Kane.
Well, yeah, before, and I think we all were like C's,
B minus.
I would up my grade value, not to an A, but if I remember correctly, I said B minus, C plus. I don't know. I would say it's a high B, bringing in Patrick Kane. The Bedard injury is not a off-season like roster decision or anything like that. You got the extension done, and that's a good deal.
Yeah.
But I think the injury. I think if we had everything happen this offseason up to today that has happened, minus the Bedard injury, the level of excitement and vibe, according to Jake, would be a lot better.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't be saying everything about Patrick Kane with the caveat of also Bedard's going to miss maybe 15 to 20 games to start the year, which is a big chunk of time to miss, especially at the beginning of the year. Like that's going to be tough. But I don't know. I think getting a guy in Patrick Kane who checks the nostalgia box, but also checks the top 6 forward box. Sure, he's old, but the last few seasons he's had in Detroit, he's talked about his health now feeling really, better than it's been in a long time since having the surgery. Like that is positive. I'm glad to hear it for him. But yeah, I mean, he hasn't played a full season since coming back, but like that just, if he gives you 65 games next year, whether or more, that is, I'm okay with that, so long as it's not the same time he's missing with Bedard. Knock on wood. But I just feel like you bought in Byram, you brought in Kane. There's a guy to play in the top 6, maybe with Bedard on his wing. You got Meaner in your forwards group, and you added that kind of like we lost Connor Murphy, like fill that void. Like I agree that everything that kind of needed to be done did get done.
Boxes
it just wasn't in the most sexy way that it could have as we looked at the offseason.
No, I agree with that. But like, I think a big part of the vibes is what was given up for Byram, right? Like a lot of that is like, man, you gave up 4 and you gave up Crevier and you gave up all this stuff. But you also, if you zoom out of the whole thing, you checked all those boxes that you mentioned without giving up a single young player,
known commodity
that you think is going to be part of this thing when they win again. You got all those needs without giving up a Nazar, a Moore, a Lardis, a Green. None of those guys moved.
And we like Louis Crevier, but
sure. But like, to me, the hardest loss of the season was Crevier.
Yeah,
because I feel if you just add him to this team, it just stabilizes a lot. But we talk about outlier years. I think there's a pretty good chance last year was an outlier year for Louis Crevier.
Maybe. I think he slots in nicely where he's going to be in Buffalo.
Sure. But, okay, so as we were talking about, like, okay, we want to add a physical defenseman, like June 30th. We're talking about this, right? We want Jacob Trouba. Jacob Trouba signs for 4 years, $8.25. That's a ton of money.
It's a lot of money.
For a long time.
And a lot of years.
So instead, you go get Ian Cole, who's older, but
for 1 year.
Cheaper and for 1 year as you let these guys grow, right? And then maybe you find a better fit down the road, right? You lose Ilya Mikheyev, but you bring in Cole Smith, who played a big role for Vegas in the playoffs. And he, as Jake said in the question, like, it's not a sexy name, it's not a household name to casual fans, but Cole Smith is going to be a guy who, if he's healthy, is probably going to play 82 games for the Hawks this year. Be on PK1. Like he's an effective, good player. He is very similar to Ilya Mikheyev without the offensive output. Probably more physical, less scoring, but they're not going to need as much scoring from Ilya Mikheyev's spot this year as they did last because you're adding Cancer, Frondell, Kane.
Right.
You don't need Ilya Mikheyev's offense anymore.
Right. And growth from all the young guys.
So you're adding all these pieces without giving up. Like, if the hardest sacrifice for Hawks fans this year was Louis Crevier, like if I told you this, you're bringing in Byram, Kane, Cole, Smith, Greenway, and the only roster player you're losing is Louis Crevier. Like, that's pretty good.
It's a good trade-off, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and like
that's a lot added.
And the
I'm not
fourth
sorry,
overall.
real quick, not to poo-poo the 4th overall pick. I'm not.
Right.
But what you're doing by getting Byram is saying, we think this guy can be Bowen Byram in 4 years.
You traded mystery box for Bowen Byram, which I think in and of itself is fair. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you add, and I know it's not a outside addition because he's a draft pick, but Kancerov's coming over too. Like, that's kind of like getting a free agent, basically. A guy who's played professionally elsewhere and then comes over. Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's why, like, I feel like the getting to training camp is now more exciting than it was a week and a half ago.
Definitely.
Because now you see Patrick Kane come in, you see what the lineup can be, you see what the young guys can do, you see how it's all going to fit together, and you're starting to look on paper and be like, I think, you look at all the metrics of like what a contending team needs to check all these boxes. And yeah, they don't have many of them checked, but you start to see the pieces fall into place to be like, there's a picture getting clearer as we get closer to training camp. So I'm more excited. My vibes are higher than they were.
No, I think it should be a much better year. And again, I'm not trying to like say like, Louis Crevier. Like, I hated losing Louis Crevier, but if that's the biggest piece you lost this offseason, and Mikheyev obviously too, but that was his choice. Like, the Hawks did everything they could to bring him back.
Right, yeah.
And he just said his heart set on an opportunity elsewhere, and I guarantee you that his numbers and his ice time will not be as high in Tampa as they were here. I wouldn't think.
No.
But we'll see. I think the other thing, too, that softens it is the big name that we were all thinking about hasn't moved. Nyes was never traded. Robertson was never traded. The biggest one that actually like fit the names we talked about was Jordan Kyrou. And we always sort of talked about Jordan Kyrou as like a secondary or tertiary option.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if you can't get the big guys, then maybe you move on to Kyrou.
More afterthought.
Yeah. So, and I guess Alex Tuch went to free agency and chose the Capitals, if you want to say that. But again, do you want Alex Tuch for, what did they give him, 8 years?
Yeah. It was, or 7, something like that, for 10.5.
1, 2, 3, 5 years for $10.5 million.
Are you sure? Double check that.
Nope, I'm not sure. Why do I keep looking at this site? I'm not gonna.
Puckpedia only shows you.
I hate that.
5 years down the line, but if
it's
it had
an 8-year deal at 10.5.
Yeah.
I'm like, as fun as that would be right now, he'll be 38 when that's over.
Yeah,
and he's never been Patrick Kane, for the record.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think of the moves that realistically were on the table and could have happened. I think objectively I come back and think like Chicago and Kyle Davidson did what he could. And I think the moves made, the team is undeniably improved on paper from last year.
Yeah.
So now we got to see it hit the ice.
All right, let's try to get one or two more in here while we can. Oh, that's a big one. Okay.
Featherhead 88.
Says, I was looking at the schedule, and the Hawks have a super tough schedule that goes right up to Bedard's return, and then it softens up. We literally play Buffalo, Florida, and Carolina twice before we get Bedard back, plus Tampa, Colorado, Montreal, Dallas, Vegas, and Utah. That is 12 of our first 19 games against solid playoff teams. If we want to try to be what the Sharks were and play meaningful games up to last week of the season, we really need to go as close to 500 as possible during that time. We don't have Bedard. We don't have to have a chance. With the addition of Kane this morning, do you think the Hawks have a realistic shot of being within a game or two of 500 after the first 19 games facing a bunch of deep playoff teams? How deep of a hole do you think the Hawks will be in by mid-November? That's the question.
Interesting. From Hockey Alchemy, the 2026-27 strength of schedule for the NHL. Based off of their calculations, the toughest schedule this year will be the Toronto Maple Leafs. The easiest schedule will be the Edmonton Oilers. The second easiest schedule is the Colorado Avalanche. And the 15th hardest schedule, right there in the middle, is the Blackhawks.
Okay.
over the course of the season. So not the hardest, not the easiest, but as the NHL goes, like the parity is kind of there. There's really no truly awful teams, and no team is unbeatable. But I think the start to the year, as we've kind of been saying all along since Bedard got hurt, like the start to the year is paramount, and having Bedard miss it is tough. So
we're going overtime, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, switch over to Fast Channels, switching over to LCHGO.com. Sorry. You're good.
And we're back. Okay. You can't like secure a playoff spot or anything like that by November, technically. But you can definitely put yourself in a hole where you can't do anything positive for the year. So right. I think not having Bedard is going to be tough. You got the Band-Aid of Patrick Kane to start the year. So that's going to be I'm going to be interested to see how he comes out of the gate. And I think if he can also be fueled by the nostalgia and the team feeds off of it and he has a good start to the year, that really eases the blow of losing Bedard. And if this team at their best can play 500 hockey through the first 15 games of the year and you get Bedard back, like that, I'm not saying, pencil in a playoff run, but you could talk about a team that's going to make a lot of games interesting and probably be playing into February and March where you're like, games mean something.
I really feel like being 500 is trying to be as close to 500 as you can with Bedard out is the goal. And I think behind closed doors, that will be the conversation and I think it's a huge part of why, if it wasn't intense from the get-go, Kyle Davidson may have ramped up the intensity to get Patrick Kane here. I mean, we know there was interest right off the bat. We talked about it earlier in the show, but we don't know if he was like, oh, crap, Bedard's hurt. Now we really need to get this done. And he did.
Right.
500, I mean, it's tough, but like, I will say this too. Every year, there is a team or two that sucks out loud for no reason at all. Something happens, somebody gets hurt in camp, the vibes are just off, whatever it might be, and there's a team or two that out of nowhere becomes good that no one expected. Right? I mean, you can even look at the Buffalo Sabres of last year and cut that season in half. And you had a bad season that fired their GM and then a really great second half.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I think trying to keep staying healthy, everybody, until Bedard is back is key. And beyond that's nice for any team. But if you can hang around 500, like let's say play 15 games, give or take, if we're doing the November 8th.
Sure, yeah.
So it's say if they're like 6-8-1.
I mean,
it's not ideal, but it's also not impossible.
It's definitely not impossible. Yeah, I mean, I think if you can come away with, at that point of the season, 6-8-1 is not a death sentence to the seller of the NHL. If you can do that, like that's okay. If you can do better than that, wonderful.
That's 13 points in 15 games.
Yeah. And then you add Bedard in, and team gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you could have a team that could. You could do it. There's definitely a path there.
But let's remember too that even with a healthy Bedard, the thought was, if everything goes right, maybe they sneak into the playoffs. Now that was before they had Kane. I think we had those conversations, so that changes it a little bit. But I don't know. I don't think it's impossible. I think we're probably underestimating what Kancherov might do. We're probably overestimating a little bit what Kane will do.
Maybe.
Right? Like, so I think maybe this is an exercise for later in the week of like, risers and fallers and like trying to predict who's going to do what. Mm-hmm. I know we'll do like our full preseason predictions before the season begins too, but I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. Like, I'm really, if nothing else, the season's going to be fascinating. Yeah. And I literally cannot wait for it to start. All right. We got 2 super chats before we go. The Captain Basil, $10, says, hey, gang, why do you think the national media thinks the Hawks can't do anything right? Chicago seems to be lambasted for both Kane the Kane and Byram moves beating up the Hawks is getting old. I think a lot of it has to do with, and I took some flack for this when I said it on the score, but it's true. It's out of town stupid. And it's just people who are not, and it's understandable. Like, we cover hockey for a living. I'm not plugged into everything Utah Mammoth. I don't know
Right.
everything about all their prospects, right? Like,
Right.
it's just, it's impossible to be in the know about 32 teams. And like, the big reaction I saw was like, $8 million for Kane. Oh my God, what are they, stupid? Like, who cares? They've got, they have Ryan Ellis on the contract simply, on the books, simply to have it, the cap bump.
And he'll be off once the season starts.
If they have to, they can LTIR him.
Which they will.
Like, money is not an issue. So
Yeah.
part of it is just not knowing the big picture of the Blackhawks.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think there's that. It's impossible to be educated on every team, the inner workings and everything. And I think too, and we had a question from the mailbag from Lord Tobias that was about the same, like, why is the perception of Chicago bad? And I think there's an aspect of, the exact question is, if the Hawks signed McDavid and prime Mario Lemieux, outside media would still take a dump on the Hawks and find a way to spin it. What's with all the hate? Is it because of the past discretions? I don't know a team that in the NHL that get as much hate as the Hawks. I don't think they're the most hated team in the league,
They're among them.
get the most. But I think we as people in the Hawks community feel it because of how constant it gets brought back to, like Team X or the San Jose Sharks.
Yes, Sharks.
Do XYZ, and then the Hawks do something similar, and they get blasted for it.
Oh my God!
Whereas
if the Hawks had brought in Darnell Nurse, the think pieces
the
around
clown
the league,
emojis that would be thrown around the internet.
Didn't they retain nothing?
Yeah, they took him fully on. And they're like, yeah, Nurse is going to be a big impact player. Well, okay, and see how that works.
They did take some crap for Trouba. I will say that.
They took crap for both of them, as they should. But I will say, the past of the Blackhawks is not washed away for a lot of people.
It's not.
And I think you get onto you have that opinion of the organization from an outside perspective, or even people in Chicago. And then anything that they do hockey-wise that is like, ooh, I don't know about that move. I would say there's a lot of influence to the negativity based off of, residual opinions about the organization. And I just think that's true. And it's also, for people, however they want to feel, fair and valid. Like for some people, that was like the cutoff point of being a Hawks fan.
No longer a fan.
Is everything that happened with, the sexual assault, cover up, and the findings and all that stuff. But I think years now have passed, and it's still there is still a hockey side of things that there needs to eventually, and I think it will come, hopefully, my hope is that it happens this season. On the ice, the results and the product on the ice changes the narrative and the opinion, much like it did, or we thought it was going to, last October and November. The start of the year was like, hey, the national media is now eating some crow about how they viewed Bedard and the Blackhawks because they got off to a really good start, and then we know how last season ended. My hope is that this year you see the players that they're banking on, the organization, the young guys. You see Patrick Kane come in. You see Bo and Byram come in. Their on-ice results change the narrative, even for people that their lives are to dump on the Hawks for anything that they do.
Even if
you have to have. I would love for it to get to a point where even the people that seem to be most negative about the Hawks have to eventually say, like, okay, the Byram signing looks good, or the Bedard extension looks like a steal, so on and so forth.
Sure, there's going to be a lot of but even I think there will even be people in our chat because we've seen it. I think part of it too is people want to dig in our heels. is I have stated my opinion, and I will not stray from my opinion, regardless of evidence against it. Whereas, like, we caught this last week, like, last 2 years, you guys have been crapping on Kane coming back. We're like, there's context to it.
Right.
The last 2 years, it didn't make sense. It wasn't going to happen. So why? And now, when you look at what the Hawks need, boom, all of a sudden, Patrick Kane makes perfect sense.
Right.
Like, things change. Times change.
I mean, Kane himself, I don't know if we mentioned it earlier in the show or before the show started, but he himself said, like, if you would have asked him a month ago about, like, where is he going to play this year, he was figuring it would be Detroit.
Yeah.
But then, quote unquote, things change. Well, Detroit fired Steve Yzerman, quote unquote fired. And then Larkin made his trade request and all that stuff. Like, things change.
Circumstances change.
Circumstances change. And yeah, I mean, and to defend us all along, as much as we said, like, it's very unlikely to ever happen, we always said we'd welcome it because it would be fun to have Patrick Kane back, and it's fun to have him back.
Yes, in fairness, the jar that young Dangle God had to fill was more for the just let it go because you've been told flat out
organization
it's not happening.
Yeah, the organizational line was we're not going to go down that path until apparently the guy at the top of the organization makes a phone call.
It wasn't like you're stupid for wanting this. It was stop torturing yourself and wishing for this because chances are it's never going to happen.
I'm trying to help you guys,
and you're just going to be mad about it forever. Well, guess what? You're not mad anymore. All right, let's knock out 2 more mailbags before we go. Why not? I don't get stuck in traffic. I don't care. I'm going to be stuck in it one way or the other. This one is from Scott. Says, I was indifferent when it came to Kane coming back to the Blackhawks. Now that he's signed with the Hawks, he will make the team better for sure and help in so many ways. My concerns are still too small in the forward group. Basically, the top 6 and Kane replicate what he did in Detroit last year. Davidson's job is still not done. Need a power forward in the top 6, whether it's this year or next offseason. Another concern is when players are playing with Kane, might have a tendency to defer to him. Yeah, I mean, look, that's why Marchenko is a name on a lot of people's minds.
Power forward, yeah.
But it's just that the days of the power forward, they're kind of gone. Like, there's just not a lot anymore, right? Like, that's why they're like so at a premium. Like, there is no more Todd Bertuzzi. Mm-hmm. You know, there is no more Eric Lindros. Really, like those guys are. There were a lot more of them back then, but now, like.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I think too, the era has changed to where smaller players didn't get the opportunities that they did in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Well, the rules were way different.
Right. Yeah. Whereas now you have smaller players be able to find success, like Patrick Kane did.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there is something to the Hawks' most likely top 6 group feeling a little small. But I mean, look, like if you have, guys that can control the puck and guys that can play with speed and play in transition, like, which I feel like they have, you can overcome a quote unquote lack of size. Frondell's a big guy. Frondell's a big guy.
Ryan Rubrick is big. 2nd round pick this year.
Yeah, I mean he's years away.
But
yeah. But
Mason West, Nets are still big guys.
Like they have some guys that do have some big power forward capabilities down the road. Spellacy as well. I know he's not a top 6 guy, but that's a guy that's big, fast. There will be size in the lineup. You don't necessarily have to have a Forrest for your top 6. Like it fills out eventually.
Sure. They just don't become available a lot. But the fact that Kyle Davidson has been sniffing around Matthew Nyes as aggressively as he has would indicate to you that he knows that too.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, all right. What else we got? This one is from. Is this Heilman? Yeah. M. Heilman. There we go. Kyle Davidson addressed several key needs this offseason by adding a top 6 forward in Patrick Kane, a #1 defenseman in Bowen Byram, physical veterans in Jordan Greenway, Cole Smith, and Ian Cole. While the roster appears set, could you see Davidson making one more depth move using a lower tier prospect like Landon Slaggert or Ethan Del Mastro and or a late round pick to acquire a physical depth forward in the more mold of Jonah Gadjevich, can never say that name, or Matthew Olivier, someone who adds toughness, can step in the lineup when needed, and gives a team more of an intimidating edge? Not necessarily something needed, but would be fun to have. You're not getting those guys for those guys. Del Mastro or Slaggert?
No.
I don't think Matthew Olivier doesn't sound like a guy they want to trade at all.
No.
He's like a heart and soul of their team kind of a guy.
Yeah, I feel like mentioning that they added Cole Smith and Jordan Greenway, I think those are your guys that you're looking at to be the
Ian
Olivier
Cole
or the and Ian Cole too, to be the Olivier or the Gadjevich, or like to be those guys where they're not in the top 6, but when they're in your lineup, that's the role that they play. I think, and look, Del Mastro's a big kid too. If he was in the lineup, he'd be a guy that, I would imagine would provide some physicality in his role. So I don't necessarily think that they're going to go that route, but if they wanted to add another depth, big physical player, I don't hate the idea, but I just don't know if they're going to go down that route.
Yeah, I mean, Olivier would be super fun to have.
Right, yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't feel like a guy Columbus is anxious to move. It's
Again,
a fan favorite.
Columbus. They need guys that are going to help them be relevant. Yeah,
absolutely. Is that the last one? All right, great.
Did we get all the super chats?
One more super chat. KD Belver. I think is he called KD Believer?
Could be.
I don't know. Let us know. He says, Nazar is 1C, Connor coming back on a wing to start. That might be the case.
Maybe.
I wouldn't shock me to see if Bedard started on the wing for a while.
Yeah, and I think with Bedard out, Nazar will be the number 1 center. I don't think they'll put Frondell in that spot.
There,
no.
Probably Nazar and Kane, Frondell, Kancherov.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
And if Bedard comes back and plays wing, like, I think they only make that move, like, if he comes back and he's immediately on the wing, I think they only make that move if Nazar and Frondell are like, oh, they're working as centers really well. Keep them there, keep them in those roles, and then you add Bedard. But I think 99% chance Connor Bedard comes back from injury and resumes his role as number 1 center, at least to begin. We will see.
Let's get it here. By the way, this week, the NHL Rookie Showcase is happening at Blackhawks Ice Center.
Yeah.
Sasha Boisvert and Roman Kancherov will be there representing the Hawks. We're going to be out there Wednesday before the show, so hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to those guys and bring some of that back. Greg will be with us tomorrow, so make sure you're here with us. 3 o'clock. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 with Greg Boyson on CHGO Blackhawks.
We all silly like the mayor.